Welcome back. You're watching TVC News Hour, Nigeria.
Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu is to lead a 7-man high-powered delegation to the South African Parliament to discuss issues relating to the xenophobic attacks on Nigerians. And Senate President Bukola Saraki made the announcement at today's plenary following Tuesday's motion on the resurgence of attacks against Nigerians and foreign nationals in South Africa. Other members of the delegation include Senate Leader Ahmed Lawan, Olushola Adeyeye, Stella Odua, Shehu Sani, Shaba Lafiaji, and Magnus Abe.
Well, let's hear from Mohammed Bello, public affairs analyst, who joins us live from Abuja. Good to have you with us on the News Hour. So now let's begin with this. What good will this Nigerian delegation to South African Parliament have on Nigerians residents in South Africa?
Well, I think it's a very good development, because what is happening in South Africa to other Africans, including Nigerians, is most unfortunate, and it borders on savagery and terrorism. If you recall, when Mandela came to Nigeria in 1962, it was only in Nigeria that he was able to get a substantial support from Nigerian leadership that time. After he went to Ghana, he ended up in Nigeria, and I think at that time he was given 10,000 pounds sterling. That was the seed money that provided the ANC to be able to lay a groundwork for what had happened years to come. And subsequent Nigerian leaders, from Tafawa Balewa to Iransi to Yakubu Gowon, Murtala Mohammed, Olusegun Obasanjo, Shehu Shagari, Muhammad Buhari, had supported South African struggle to its hilt. At that time, there were even students that were being smuggled out of South Africa to go to places like Botswana and then transported to Nigerian universities and polytechnics. And even up to today, there are Nigerians who go to school in Southern Africa. There are equally businesses, Nigerians who are investing in Southern Africa. We have MTN as one of the largest companies here. So to have this situation where innocent Africans, including Nigerians, are being murdered and massacred is most unfortunate. I thank the Senate for taking this action, and I think Nigerian
Question, if you can hear me, Mohammed,
to protect Nigerian citizens.
All right,
yes.
I'm gonna have to interject here now. Can you charge for the negotiating skills of these senators, led by Mr. Ekweremadu himself, in having a meaningful impact on that trip itself?
What are their negotiating influence?
Exactly.
Is that your question?
That is the question.
Yeah, well, these are prominent Nigerians, and these are representatives, from the Senate. It's a very good thing that the Senate is taking this into consideration, and I'm sure that for somebody to have won election and become a senator in Nigeria, I will think that he will be smart enough, to talk to whoever he's supposed to talk to, because in this situation, Jacob Zuma, whatever his name is absolutely absent on the scene. And I think it's most unfortunate. And I think the Senate is doing the right thing. And we also expect to hear from Ministry of Foreign Affairs on what actually they are doing to protect the lives of Nigerians over there.
Okay, talking about the safety of Nigerians residents in South Africa, in as much as the Nigerian delegation is, seeks to, be behind the Nigerians who are there, do you think that possibly a review of the foreign policy is the best way out, so that we can say, it's not all good for countries coming to Nigeria to invest, but there should be some kind of a policy review so that it will not be to the country's detriment like we see now?
Well, I agree with you, but the situation we are in now, the world is becoming smaller. Look at European Union, look at all these other organizations of different states trying to do businesses together. You cannot stop the movements of people, movement of skills, semi-skills, and even laborers. They go across borders. Some of these borders were created in 1884 artificially. So if in Africa, with 54 countries, people cannot travel to another place to go and look for work or go and engage themselves in businesses, then it's most unfortunate. I think the African Union should come in and really sound a warning to any country that where they have citizens from other countries, they must be able to take extra precautions in protecting those citizens. Because nobody is harassing MTN in Nigeria. They have made billions and they are making money. And I know a couple of South Africans that come to Nigeria for one thing or another. There are even South Africans that bring drugs in from South Africa to Nigeria, but they are not being lynched on the street. I mean, it's really unfortunate. And I think our leaders should do more to protect their citizens, to protect our citizens outside of Nigeria.
There are calls for a recall of Nigeria's ambassador over this development in South Africa. Are you in support of this? Will this solve the problem?
Well, it may sound, I mean, the thing is this, Jacob Zuma should speak up. When you talk of Africa, leading countries in Africa, Egypt, Nigeria, South Africa, we have the population, we have the resources. We helped brought about this regime, this black majority regime in South Africa. The Freedom Charter, the vehicle with which African National Congress used in becoming accepted, was that every person that lives in South Africa, black or white, should have the right to work unmolested. That was the appealing. That was the most appealing document that time. What happened? I mean, has Jacob Zuma suddenly gone to sleep? They ought to know that because the governments have not been able to fulfill the legitimate aspirations of South Africans, there is likely going to be a backlash, especially in areas where you have a lot of poor people. But they ought to have taken precautions and be able to use police and other security services to be able to protect other Africans. I mean, to me, this is a clear failure of leadership in South Africa. We can recall, I mean, we can expel their ambassador, but as at now, I don't think we have ambassador in Southern Africa. Maybe we have a senior official over there. But there has to be a serious reprimand on President Jacob Zuma and the South African leadership that are leading. This is un-African, this is unfortunate, and this is not what we expect in this century. After what Nigeria had invested so much in making sure all those countries, from Namibia to Angola to Mozambique down to South Africa, are liberated, black majority rule. We're supposed to be each other's keepers. All
right, Mohammed, you talked of sanctions, perhaps could be a way out. What exactly are you proposing? Are you saying that the South African country should be expelled from the African Union, or they should be secluded, or what exactly are you proposing in terms of sanctions here?
Well, I think they must be made to pay some compensation to the people that are killed and take an undertaking to protect citizens of African countries. Look, we are talking about all those countries that help African National Congress to be where it is today. Ethiopia, Nelson Mandela first went to Ethiopia for guerrilla training. From Ethiopia, he went to Ghana. From Ghana, he came to Nigeria. Those were the three strongest countries at that time that assisted Nelson Mandela in building the ANC, in educating the black ANC members. Mr. Thabo Mbeki, the second president of Free South Africa, was their representative here in Nigeria. And some of us back in the 80s, we formed organizations which was called then Youth Solidarity on Southern Africa. Some of the people are still alive. People like Salihu Lukman, we have Najah Mohammed, we have so many other people, Ade Adenuga of Lagos and others. Nigerian students and Nigerian youth took up this fight to free South Africa as if it's our own fight, with banners, with posters, with books and literature. We were going on radios, propagating, putting Nigerian government on its toe to make sure that every government that comes in stay the course to assist South Africa to be a free nation.
But perhaps, let me quickly come in here, perhaps the young ones in South Africa, Mohammed, sorry for cutting you in now, but perhaps the young ones who are perpetrating this violence are oblivious of what they do. Perhaps they do not understand how much role Nigeria has played in terms of South Africa's freedom. Would you suggest that perhaps an education of these young ones should be in their curriculum, for instance, history, so that they can be, better understood of, not rather, they can be better taught of what exactly Nigerians and other African countries had in terms of their liberation and their struggle for the apartheid regime?
Yes, I will absolutely support that. What is going on is a reflection of failure of leadership on the part of Jacob Zuma and the ANC. If they had, educated these young men and women about the role of other African countries, especially Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Ghana, and the African Union, this probably would have been talking different things. I think that there is need for massive education, teaching of history, so that they would know the various roles that were played by various leaders, from Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, Kwame Nkrumah, Tafawa Balewa, down to Murtala Muhammad. There is a school of thought that believe that late Murtala Muhammad lost his life because of his stance against the United States of America back in 1976. A coup was organized and he was gunned down on the street of Lagos because of his hardline stand on the issue of apartheid in South Africa. Henry Kissinger and others at that time were trying to push Nigeria not to support the ANC at that time. There was even a case, I think, when Obasanjo was in power. At that time, South Africa had nuclear. They pointed their nuclear head towards Nigeria, the white racist regime that time. So I think I agree with you. The government should do more, provide education, provide opportunity. Nobody goes to a country to take the job of those people in other countries. People are looking for opportunities wherever they can get it. And the world is a global place. Just like it was before the creation of countries, before the colonization. That's how the world is going to become now.
All right. Okay, Mohammed Bello, public affairs analyst, we'd like to thank you for your thoughts on the xenophobic attacks in South Africa.